everyone. Good morning. Welcome to another session with me on Coffee with Megha. I wanted to, first of all, wish each and every one of you a very happy new year filled with a lot of joys, prosperity, happiness, and good health. So, today I thought, I wanted to first start the session by talking about a simple New Year's resolution that I kept for myself. I wanted to become more mindful about my own actions and behaviors and thoughts. And I thought, why not start the year by talking to all of you about the voices that are actually running in your mind? Um, so I wanted to ask you this. What is the first thing that you think of when you are thinking about the voices in your head? Um, it's very easy for us to say that it's our inner voice, but today I wanted to talk to you about how you can distinguish your inner voice and from a little something that I like to call your ego. And it's very important to know when your ego has taken over and when your inner voice is actually shining out to you. And this was the basis of my New Year's resolution this year. So I thought I will share my thoughts with you and kind of let you know what's the difference between your ego and your inner voice. So let's begin with, a very proverbial quote by the great Buddha. He always called the ego as your monkey mind. It's the mind that is always running around. It's always in this perpetual fear of things. It's always judging. Now, it's very key to understand that your ego develops when at a very young age. It's a protective mechanism for you. So whenever you feel threatened by something, your ego is the first one to come forward and say, stop, be careful of whatever it is you're doing. And that results in, these behaviors which suddenly become repetitive. Maybe you're walking down the street and somebody bumps into you and you suddenly feel anger. That's because your ego maybe earlier on said something that caused you to feel this way. And it's very important to distinguish this fact from your inner voice. So let's understand ego again. Ego is something that comes in at a very, very young age. And it protects you from a lot of hurt, maybe that happened along the way. So, how do you know if it is your ego? If you are having constant thoughts, negative thoughts about how somebody affected you, right? And you're in that whole loop, consider it as your ego and not your inner voice, right? If you are constantly thinking about something negative, then you're also going to have actions and behaviors that are associated with that negative thought. So you need to be more mindful about which voice is actually guiding you at that present moment. Your ego is going to take you down a loop of thoughts, such as maybe I am not good enough, right? If you're trying to pursue something in life and you sort of not follow through on it, or something happens and you're not able to follow through, your first instinct or your first voice is going to say, maybe I wasn't good enough. And that's why I wasn't able to complete it. So, what's the point of moving forward? That is one of the guiding, well, you consider that as your guiding voice, but it is not your guiding voice. It is basically your ego protecting you from getting hurt again and stopping you from kind of reaching your whole true potential. Now, if you consider this, you're actually stopping yourself from achieving your full potential. You're stopping yourself from doing something that you are actually quite capable of doing. Next, maybe you are stuck in kind of a lot of emotional feelings. Maybe you got hurt by someone. Maybe you felt disappointment. Maybe you felt that, you have something that caused you to feel anger or shame, embarrassment, guilt, whatever it caused you to feel, you're stuck again in that emotional loop. Now, it's important to understand that both thoughts and emotions go hand in hand. So, whatever emotion you're feeling, you're going to associate a thought with it. So, when you have people who are going through anxiety disorders or depression disorders, they are constantly stuck in a loop of negative thoughts and emotions, right? So you have to understand that your emotions are always going to be attached to a negative thought. And then afterwards, you're going to see yourself have certain actions and behaviors for those certain emotions and thoughts. Let's understand this with an example. Say somebody hurt you, somebody that you are really, really close to, and you felt anger. Now, what is it that many people do when they feel anger towards the one person they love the most? Either tend to avoid them, or we tend to become more mean to them, right? So your action now of being angry with them and not talking to them is basically your ego saying, you know what, they made me feel hurt, so now I have to make them feel hurt the same way that they've made me the amount of pain that they've caused me. So it's important to distinguish that at this point, when you're actually going forward with your behavior, it's not your inner voice that's guiding you, it is your ego that is guiding you. Now, what else can ego make you do? Your ego is also causing you to fall into the trap of not fulfilling your potential. If you are trying to do something, right? Everybody has goals that they're working towards. But ego actually kind of stops you from achieving that goal because it maybe sensed that there's certain obstacles in the way and you might not be able to go for it. You might hear a thought like, this path is too long and too, it's going to cause a lot of obstacles in my way. It's going to stop me from going forward. I think it's too much work. And then you're going to tell yourself, maybe it's not worth it. And that is when I want you to focus on that voice that is guiding you. It's a very simple way that I kind of describe this voice. When you used to watch your old cartoons and stuff, you would have a red devil and a nice angel sitting on your voice. The red devil is the one that is kind of guiding you right now and stopping you from achieving your full potential. Because when you are trying to achieve a goal, your ego again is trying to protect you from stopping you from achieving that goal, because certain threats are perceived in your mind. Certain things are perceived in your mind that you might think that you are not able to do. So it's really important to distinguish your ego. The reason that I have started this resolution of becoming more mindful is because I stopped myself from achieving certain things in life. I felt scared to achieve these certain things in life. And that is because I thought I wasn't capable enough to do it. I fell into the trap of fear. And once I fell into the trap of fear, I realized that I stopped myself from doing what I thought was going to be good for me. For example, doing a live session and starting my own YouTube channel. That was something that I had wanted to do for a long time, but I always had this innate fear in me that maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't have that specific knowledge to take me forward. So it makes a big difference. Once I was able to overcome that ego, which was stopping me and saying, don't do this, you don't have it in you, I was able to take a step back and say, let me give it a shot. What's going to happen? It's going to take me a longer time, but I will achieve my goal. And that is when this inner voice shined through. So it's important to know when your inner voice is guiding you and when your ego is guiding you. Your inner voice is telling you to, focus on things. I'll get into the part of inner voice later on, but I really want all of you to focus on the ego part. Why is it so important to distinguish it? One thing to remember is when you're feeling something and you're faced with a situation, the first thought that comes in your mind is generally going to be your ego. It is not going to be your inner voice. Anything that happens, the first thought, the first instinct that you get is not your inner voice. It takes a longer time for you to kind of listen to your inner voice. Ego is very fast. It comes quickly, it guides you in the wrong direction, and it says, I've done my thing, and it goes and sits in a corner again. Whereas your inner voice is the one that comes when you are kind of at peace, when you are trying to focus on what was it that happened in a day. And that is what a lot of mindfulness exercises are based on. They are based on the fact that you're learning to quieten your mind. You're learning to stop the fast pace of your egoistic mind. Buddha called it a monkey mind for a reason, and that is because it is always jumping around. It's always jumping in different directions. But how do you stop and pinpoint this one specific voice that is actually going to be your guiding voice? In many different cultures, it is known as your spirit guide, your inner voice, your coach, your guiding light, the guiding angel, your guardian angels. So all of these are what it is referred to as by many other people, right? How do you listen to this? Let's go back to the example that I was talking about. When you feel anger, your instinct is to act on it. Your instinct is to cause the same amount of pain that the person in front of you caused. Because remember, anger is an emotion that is caused because of the amount of pain the person in front of you caused you. The more love you have for the person, the more anger you're going to feel for this person. And that is the harsh truth. The more you love a person, the more anger you're going to feel, and the more you're going to become vengeful and resentful. So, how do you stop yourself from feeling this way? You stop yourself by, again, going into this mindful moment. Take a moment by yourself. Maybe this means stepping out for a few minutes or going into the space in your home, your safe place where you can stop and think. Why did you feel anger? Focus on that one very specific thought that caused you to feel anger towards this one person. Calm your mind down. And that is why a lot of mindfulness experts focus on your deep breathing exercises. And that is because once you're deep breathing, you're actually calming your whole mind and body. And once you're calming your whole mind and body, that is when your inner voice has a chance to actually shine on that very specific thought, that caused you anger. And it's going to tell you, okay, you felt anger towards this person. Can you tell me why you felt anger? And now you're going to start processing why you felt anger towards a certain person, why you felt anger towards that specific stimuli. Why did you feel anger towards that very specific experience? So it's very important for your inner voice to always ask those questions. Your inner voice is your guiding light. It's going to tell you, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to calm yourself down. And once you're able to pinpoint your anger towards this person or what caused it, your inner voice is also going to tell you how to solve those anger issues. What can you do to stop those anger issues? It's going to guide you in that direction. Maybe it looks like talking to this person. Maybe it looks like going into some sort of mindfulness exercises or doing meditation to calm that anger down first before you even focus on talking to this person who was the cause of your pain. So, in order for you to understand your inner voice, you need to first focus on let's say, quietening your mind down. You need to focus on why you feel a lot of these emotions that you're holding on to. And this brings me back again to your negative thoughts. That immediate negative thought comes when somebody has caused you to feel pain, right? Why did you say this person didn't like me? Or why did you feel, this person was so rude to me, so why should I be nice to them? Right? This is what a lot of us think when somebody is being rude. But if you let your inner voice guide you, instead of saying, why should I be rude to this person? Your inner voice might say, if they give this behavior to me, maybe I can be a better self and kind of reciprocate a positivity back. Maybe they might not reciprocate it, But at least in my mind, I am not holding on to negative emotions. I've sent them off with a positive vibe. And that is what I want this person to get. That is what an inner voice is going to guide you towards. It's going to tell you to let go of any and all emotions that cause you to feel pain, that cause you to feel anger, sadness, disappointment, right? A lot of these voices are the main reasons why many people have self esteem issues. You're going to hear so many individuals say, this happened earlier on in my life and I have low self esteem. That is because something happened along the way. And again, ego is a way for your mind to protect yourself. It comes in as a form of biggest thought saying, this person affected my self esteem. I'm not good enough. I don't have it in me to do this. These are all issues of self esteem. Ego goes after your self esteem. So it's important to understand that when you act upon those thoughts and those behaviors and those emotions, it affects at the core your personality. It affects who you are. It takes away from your being, right? We are all born a certain way. But with all of our experiences, we forget who we truly are. We forget that maybe we had a certain vision for ourselves. We forget that maybe we have a certain purpose for ourselves. All of these things happen because we let ego take charge. We let ego decide what's good for us. Instead of telling the inner voice to shine through, we focus on the first thought that we kind of think is our inner voice, but in reality, it is not. For you to hear your inner voice, it takes time. It takes time for you to understand that there's a difference between the two. So I wanted to give an example for how you kind of view the inner voice. When imagine a classroom of students. And in this classroom of students, you have obviously the biggest noisemakers, the naughtier people, the more, the loudspeakers. And then in this one corner, you have this one child who is just patiently watching, who is not, going around and becoming noisy. This child is just sitting in the corner and observing what others are doing. That is what I consider kind of like a perfect example between ego and your inner voice. Ego are those noisy, loud kids, whereas your inner voice is this one person, this child that is just sitting there and observing. And is just sitting there and saying, let them do their things, let them do whatever they want. I have my vision, my own purpose. So I am going to focus on that purpose and that vision. And it's funny for me, when I found that inner voice, I kind of realized that it comes when I'm actually falling asleep or when I'm in my deepest sleeps. And I feel that it's when my subconscious kind of mind takes over and pinpoints at the specific thoughts that maybe caused me to feel a certain way in the day. And I'd wake up in the night and I kind of say, okay, why am I thinking this at like 2 a.m. in the night or 3 a.m. in the night? Why is it that I've woken up, right? Because at that point, your inner voice has said, it's quiet, ego has gone back. I need for you to focus on these things in your life. I need for you to focus on these actions in your life. And I actually do that. I actually do wake up in the night and say, why is this bothering me? Why was this that was causing me so much issue? And I would sit. I have a small diary near my bedside table, and I start writing. And when I start writing, I kind of figure out why I felt that. Why is it that thought was so important for me to wake up at 3 a.m. in the night or 4 a.m.? Why was it so important for me to focus on it? And I would sit and focus on it, irrespective of whatever time it is. I will sit and focus on why this thought became so relevant. And this is why my New Year's resolution became of becoming more mindful in life. Because I realized that there is a certain voice in me that is now guiding me. It is there to show me the path that I need. And this is the reason why I thought the first session, the first live session that I do in the year has to do with more of the inner voice that everyone has and everybody is looking to get or listen to. So here are a few ways that I want you to focus on to listen to your inner voice. First and foremost, do not kind of ignore something that suddenly comes in your mind when you're at your calmest, right? Don't ignore that little feeling in your stomach which is telling you you really need to focus on this. Then figure out why it asked you to do it. Why was it so important for your mind to register it and say, you need to focus on this, get on it, do something? When you have that initial feeling, if you are a person like me, grab a notebook and start writing. If you are somebody who likes to maybe go for a walk and figure out what it was, do it. But don't do it at like 3 a.m. in the night. Do it in the morning. But take note of why that thought suddenly came in your mind. I prefer writing because I suddenly feel that I get this, outpour of feelings and emotions that are coming through. So I prefer writing. And once I start writing, I get to understand all of the things that went through that inner voice wants me to focus on. The inner voice is telling me, you need to do this. This is good for you. Go do it. That is what I want all of you who are watching right now to focus on. That little voice in your mind, in your gut that says, I need you to focus on this. Why is this so important? Once you get to the why is when you're going to realize that it's your inner voice. If you're not able to get to the why of what you're feeling, then it's the ego, right? Because it's not letting you answer that question. It's not letting you find the answers to what you're actually asking. So if you reach to the why, then that is the point when inner voice is guiding you. When inner voice is saying, focus, let's do this. Now, again, with my own journey right now, with me starting a YouTube channel, like I said, I was scared. I did not know if this is the right path for me. But at some point, again, in the night when my inner voice is the most active, it said, you know what? Go for it. Because I've always wanted to help people with a lot of mental health issues. I have learned so much along the way that I thought this is the best medium for me to share my learnings with you, to share everything that I feel is necessary and help the world. That was my initial thought. And that's why I started these live sessions. That is why I started doing my YouTube channel. And that is because I listened to my inner voice. I knew I had it in me, but if I let fear take over me, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you these tips. I wouldn't be sitting here telling and maybe helping somebody who actually maybe requires this help. So don't let fear stop you from achieving something that is going to be your path, right? Sometimes when ego takes over, you stop pursuing your potential. You stop pursuing that path. And there's a saying that I heard I would say a few months ago by an unknown author. And it said that when you feel that you've lost your path is still there waiting for you. And that is the whole reason that made me realize that my path is there. I feel this is my path. My inner voice is now guiding me. My inner voice is saying, this is what I need to listen to. And this also means that I removed a lot of people from my life that I felt were a reason for a lot of my negative energies or negative potential. And it caused more freedom in my mind. It allowed me to focus on me. It allowed me to focus on people that matter more. The people who support me through this journey are the people I need in my life. And that is what the inner voice guided me towards. It sent me towards these people, or it guided me towards these people that I now actually follow on a lot of my other social media platforms and keep learning. Because the knowledge I have is the knowledge that I am going to share with all of you out there. So listen to your inner voice. If you are somebody who likes to write, sorry, I deviated for a while, but if you are somebody who likes to write it out. Write everything out on that piece of paper. Now, one other advice that I will give you, and that comes from my mental health professional side, is some people prefer art. And that is where they feel that their inner voice is shining through. Because remember, everybody is different. Everybody has different means of processing whatever it is that they're feeling. So focus on what you need to do at that present moment if your inner voice is waiting to come out. And if it feels that art is the best way, go for it. Draw your heart out, draw whatever it is in your mind, because that is what your inner voice is trying to tell you. And I've seen that people who are more artistic or creative or who have that creative mind do it through the way of art. Some people like to do it through writing, like me. Some people like to talk it out and then they go see other people or their friends or their families. So focus on that. I see Rahul Singh gave a really nice reason for starting and listening to his inner voice. So I'm glad that you're listening to your inner voice. For all of you watching right now, how are you listening to your inner voice? What are you doing to listen to your inner voice? I would like to know, because it's very important to distinguish your inner voice from your ego. So let me know. Well, how are all of you, how do you get to listen to your inner voice? How are you distinguishing between the ego and your inner voice? It takes time. It takes a lot of time for you to figure out. And why is it that meditation is one of the top things that helps you calm your mind down? Because remember, as Buddha said, you have a monkey mind. So if you have a monkey mind that's jumping from one place to the other, from one thought to the other, from one emotion to the other, it's not going to let anything else focus. It's going to keep you in a state of fear, in a state of maybe judging yourself, in a state of low self esteem. So, what does meditation do? Meditation, through deep breathing exercises, calms your mind down. Now, here is one way to stop your ego. When you feel that you're feeling a lot of emotions, tell your mind to stop. And then it's going to try again. Tell yourself again, stop. And then finally, your ego is going to try this one more time, to send you that thought or that feeling. Say no, stop. It is known technique for all mental health professionals to use to stop negative thought patterns, and it helps. Once you stop that thought, you go forward and start deep breathing. I've seen that a lot of my clients used to prefer guided imagery, which means I would ask them to focus on something in their minds which is considered their safe space. It could be their home. It could be maybe a walk that they were on. Maybe it was in a forest, whatever it was that they consider safe, like a safe place for them. And then you think about it and then you deep breathe. And you deep breathe till your mind is calm. Deep breathe till you feel that the ego has stopped, your thoughts have stopped, your emotions have stopped, everything has just stopped, and you are almost like in a trance like feeling. Then your inner voice is going to shine through. Now, one thing to focus on is your inner voice is going to focus on that thought that caused you to feel a certain way, that is stopping you from whatever it is that you're trying to do. Then it is your job to figure out why that thought was so important for your inner voice to shine, for it to, put a light on. Why was it so important for you to focus on that one specific thing? Now, I believe that your subconscious mind records everything through the day. And that mind of yours is basically your inner voice. It records everything through the day. Your conscious mind is the one, like right now, listening and observing everything around you. Your subconscious mind is recording everything behind. And when it's recording everything, it is making note of everything that has happened to you. So focus on that, even if it comes at like late in the night, or if you're, talking to somebody and all of a sudden this thought pops up and it takes you out of your realm. Focus on it because it is important. It is your subconscious mind, along with this little gut feeling, this little instinct telling you, all right, let's take a time out and focus. Let's take a time out and figure out why this was so important. So I wanted to again start this year by talking about everything that I am starting to focus on in my life. I wanted to thank Neha Mathur for giving me such great encouragement. Thank you so much. It means a lot when I feel that I'm giving everybody practical advice. And I hope that you received good practical advice from today's session. Um, but I really, again, want you to focus on your voices. I want you to focus on why it is important to distinguish between your inner voice and your ego. Don't let ego guide you. Ego is very fast to take you off your path. Your inner voice is the one that's going to say, you know what, that path is difficult, but you have it in you to do it. Try it. I want you to focus on that voice that is pushing you forward and not showing you the obstacles along the way. Your inner voice is going to help you find your solutions to those obstacles, whereas your ego, that thought which comes and says, too many obstacles, I don't want to do it. Maybe there's an easier way to do it. And when you try to keep finding that easier way, you lose that purpose and vision along the way. So focus on what is guiding you. And when you want to focus on what's guiding you, go and figure out a place where you can actually ask your inner voice a certain question. You can even ask your inner voice a question before going to bed. You know what, I felt this way, or this thought came in my mind, can you tell me why? And it's going to help you pinpoint, it's going to pinpoint you in the right direction. That's the job of inner voice. And I want to make it clear, your inner voice is not going to find solutions. Your inner voice is going to guide you. Your inner voice is going to show you the reasoning behind your emotions, thoughts, behaviors, actions, words. And then it's your job to focus and process that thought. Sit down and think, why? And you are going to see a very positive difference. Once you are focused on that little feeling that is trying to guide you, you are going to see a massive positive difference in your life. It took time for me. For me to come out and say, as in my New Year resolution is to be more mindful about my own thoughts, actions, and feelings, is because last year I kind of felt that I was feeling lost. And a lot of us felt that way. It was a very, scary year for all of us. And that is why this resolution happened, because I realized there's so much time on my hands that I need to focus on myself. I need to focus on what is important in my life. I need to focus on where I want to go with my life. And this is why this resolution came into being. And I hope that a lot of you that watch this today got, benefit from it, learned how to distinguish between your inner voice and your ego. And I kind of look forward to seeing you next week. I hope you can join me for a next session where I will talk about a lot of similar things which are related to personal development. Because something which is helping guide you along the way falls into the realm of your own personal development, your own way of improving and making a better self. So I hope you enjoyed today's session, and I do look forward to seeing you next week here again at 10 a.m., where I will be talking on a very similar topic that's only going to help make you lead a positive and a stress-free life. Wishing you all the best. Again, Happy New Year. Wishing you a lot of joys, happiness, prosperity, and good health. Looking forward to seeing you here next week. Bye.